So, for example, if somebody goes, "Oh, what was that noise?" You'll get one of the other juniors going, "Oh, it was his stomach," or "Oh, I
Yeah,
saw you
yeah.
kick something," So they'll call each other out on it. When
Mm,
we initially started doing it, we thought, "Oh, events are going to fill up really, really quickly. It's going to be
yeah.
really, really popular." But what actually happened is it was a slow burner. So us putting
Right.
it was like people were like, "What? It's a what?" And there was a lot of misunderstanding as to what we did and who we were. We are very skilled in making sure our events are inclusive, and part of that is making sure that we don't have too many people on them, because it
Yes.
can be really
Yeah.
daunting, especially if it's the first
Yeah.
time you're doing it, you're a bit nervous. So we don't like to pack too many people in, because it allows us as a team to get to know our guests.
Next go. Legend. 1, 2, 3, go.
Hi, welcome to the Comic Con Community Podcast. My name is Will, and today joining me we have Gemma from Junior Paranormal Events. Welcome, Gemma.
Thank you for having me, Will. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Yourself?
I'm good. All good here.
Excellent. So, do you want to start off by telling the listeners what Junior Paranormal Events is and what it's all about?
Sure. So, Junior Paranormal Events, we're a non-profit group. We're in our 5th year of operation now, and we run paranormal events for juniors aged 9 years plus. So we travel the country. We're Scotland, down south, Wales. We go everywhere and run events. Focus on paranormal education for juniors, so teaching them the tricks that their favorite influencers might use to fake findings, which I know we're going to come to in a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
We teach them to challenge what they see, and not take everything at face value, and teach them the realities of paranormal investigating as well, which it's very different to what people think it is. We get to go to loads of really cool places. So last weekend we were at Gloucester Prison. We did an event down there. We work in partnership with Haunted Happenings. So as well as running our own events, we work in partnership with Haunted Happenings to offer events via them for juniors as well. And the reason why we got into it, it was just a throwaway conversation we had one Halloween. For years, our children have been intrigued by the paranormal, and Michael and I would go on adult paranormal events, and then we'd come home and the children would ask us, "Oh, what happened?"
Mm,
And there was one Halloween, and it was shortly after all the lockdown restrictions started getting a bit lighter, so we could
yeah.
all go out and mix again. And we'd been on a Halloween event, and the next morning we were sat round having breakfast at the table with the children, and they said, "Why can't we go on an event?" And something in that moment made me go, "Actually, do you know what? Why can't they? I'm a
Mm,
qualified teacher. I have been for 20 plus years. I've run educational businesses. We know a little bit about the paranormal, so why can't we?" And then
yeah.
Junior Paranormal's been created, and we've just been going from strength to strength ever since.
Right. So we'll start from that one conversation around the breakfast
Yeah,
table.
just that when people say something just clicks and
Yeah.
it happens at the right
Mm,
time, that's exactly it. It was just why can't we go? And I thought, do you know what? Why can't you? So that,
yeah.
yeah, there we go.
There's no reason why not, is there? I mean,
No,
obviously a lot of the businesses that run it specify 18 plus, but
yeah,
that's probably down to insurance and many other aspects.
yeah,
Well, I suppose because you're bespoke, specifically for juniors,
yeah.
you've got all that covered. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
great.
absolutely. So when we first started up, we're based in Rochdale. So we were getting ready to do our first event, and somebody actually put because we'd just started releasing stuff on social media and stuff, and announced our first event, and somebody actually put a complaint in about us to Rochdale Environmental Health Team. that we
Wow.
were putting children's lives in danger. But actually, it works in our favour because they then, when the council requested all our paperwork, so insurances, risk assessments, safeguarding, health and safety, the whole shebang, they requested all of that and scrutinised it, and we got like a full-on green light for it. So it actually did us a favour.
Right.
Because
really
it
good.
allowed our it allowed our paperwork to be rigorously checked by an external agency. So they did us a favour in the end. Yeah.
And I suppose being a teacher, you were on top of all of that straight away, and obviously with your business experience, it's like get on top of that. That's one of the first things you need to think about.
Absolutely. People think it's just a case of, oh, you just go out and you just let children run around in the dark, and it's like, no, it doesn't work like that.
No.
There's a lot to it. We've actually, so when we work on an event with haunted happenings, we have to have a member of their team with us for their insurance purposes, because we're under their name. And more often than not, I get a comment of, I don't know how you do junior events. I'd rather do adult events, But I would rather work with juniors than run adult events. Yeah, hands down.
I've been on quite a few, and I've met some characters on the adult events, and a lot of those are faking things, and you're like, why do you come on these events if you're just going to do this? It just makes no sense. I think it's an attention thing. I think they're just doing it for the attention.
I do. It's an ego thing. Yeah, it's an ego thing. Yeah.
But it ruins it for everybody else, because, everything's focused on them then. And it's like, yeah. So, maybe a child's event is probably more, I can see why it would be more enjoyable, because obviously the children won't be out there making things up and faking it.
No, it's actually really lovely because they have to come along with a grown up. So that's nice, because they get to spend family time doing something completely different, which is away from phones and computers and that sort of thing. But the way we work our events and the way we do approach our events, they get very good at calling each other out. So, for example, if somebody goes, "Oh, what was that noise?" you'll get one of the other juniors going, "Oh, it was his stomach," or, "Oh, I saw you kick something," So they'll call each other out on it if they think something's not right, and like challenging parents. Have you got your phone on? Yeah, I've just seen your phone on. Your phone's on. It's going to interfere in the equipment. So they are very, very good at that.
Right, that's good. To teach them that from the get-go, rather than them growing up to think that it's okay to do that kind of thing. It's good that they've got the ability to call other people out. That's really good. And how many members do you have at the moment? Have you got a group of regulars, or?
So we actually have a team. Our team, you met most of our team, didn't you, at Horrorwood?
Yes, I did. So Horrorwood 3, team, which was in Haywood.
Yes.
Just get a little plug in there for Kim.
So our team, we have 14 members of our team, which is made up of adults and juniors. So what we do is we run events between us all. Michael and myself and my husband Michael are the founders of it, and we're the management team, along with Jade, who's been with us since the start. And then as we've sort of grown, people who've become really good friends of ours have sort of joined the team with their junior. And together we source new locations. They come to paranormal conferences and meets, and we talk about what we do. So that's how we run events with our team. But the size of our events varies. So last week when we were in Gloucester, we had 30 guests.
Wow.
On the event. But then, for example, when we have a smaller location like 30 East Drive, where we are tomorrow, we'll only have 10 guests on it. So it varies from. But we get people all over the country who come to us. So a couple of months ago, we had someone who we were holding an event in Bolton, and they travelled down from Glasgow on the train to come on an event.
Really?
Yeah.
That's quite the journey.
I know, but then they made a weekend of it, because we keep our prices really affordable. We're not in it to make money.
Yeah.
We're just in it for the love of what we do. So we keep our prices really affordable, just so we're covering our costs. And what that allowed them to do was just make a little weekend of it as a special birthday treat. So, yeah, our biggest location so far has been Gloucester Prison last weekend. We don't have 30 is the absolute maximum that we'd have in an event. We're not one of these organisations who'd pack 50, 60 people on an event because that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. And I suppose you're not doing it for profit, so there's no reason for you to say let's bring on as many as we can. It's like you need to stick to a good number for you to be able to manage it as well.
Yes. Yeah. We do also have myself and two other adult members of the team have got backgrounds in special educational needs and mental health as well.
Right.
So we do tend to get children with special educational needs who come on our event. So we've had children who are facing challenges with mental health. We've had children who've had a physical disability. We've had children who have autism. So we are very skilled in making sure our events are inclusive, and part of that is making sure that we don't have too many people on them, because it can be really daunting, especially if it's the first time you're doing it. You're a bit nervous. So we don't like to pack too many people in, because it allows us as a team to get to know our guests, and then we can really carefully decide who's best working with who, in terms of support. So that's another reason why we don't overfill our events.
Yeah, that's good. And you've got the staff to cover the numbers as well. I presume you obviously need X number of staff to cover so many so many guests. Right.
So what we generally tend to do is the first part of the event is we go as a big group, and we all go round, and I talk about the history of a location. We do paranormal education. We demonstrate some pieces of kit to them, and then that's about an hour or so. Then we have break time. So during that first hour, myself and the other team members are clocking who's who in the guests, and who might need a little bit of support. And for example, if we've got someone that's really loud and really chatty, and we've got someone that's really shy and really quiet, it's making sure that they're not in the same group together, because it's not going to be effective for investigating. And then during break time, we divide the groups up and make sure that the right people are with the right person. So we generally, so for because we have the parents there, so the parents help, they're responsible for their own child on a group. So for an event where we've got like 30 people, we'll have 3 members of staff on, so that when we go back and we do our small groups, it's no more than 10 per group. And then you've got the adults, their own adults there as well. So we're really careful as to how we organise that, and we have to be, because that's part of our criteria for operating safely.
Yeah, definitely. And it's good that you've got the adults there as well, because keeping so many children in line, especially ones that you don't know, is not an easy task. I mean, I'm a scout leader, so I'm speaking from a bit of experience there. But unfortunately, the parents aren't there to lay the law. But trying to keep them under control, I would imagine, especially on a ghost hunt, because some will be excited, some will be scared, some will be. It'd just be a bit of a disaster. I think
absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, definitely. So, what's the first event you ever did when you decided this is going to be what we're doing? Where was the first event, and how long did it take to organise from the day that you decided this is what you were going to do?
So we actually we made the decision and came up with the name and whatnot, and started approaching different locations in the November. So November 2021, we started reaching. Junior Paranormal was officially formed. And we started reaching out to different locations, and one of the locations that came back to us first was Champness Hall, in Rochdale.
Right.
And they very kindly offered to host a sort of launch event, like a soft launch event.
Oh, that's good. That's nice.
So this was the very, very first time that, I mean, I'm a teacher, I can stand up, I can teach until the cows come home, you know. But doing a paranormal event was massively different. So it was the January, we then did a test event. But what we did for that is we invited friends and family to it. And we said, right, okay, you need to be really, really honest with us. And we ran it as though it was the first time we'd ever met them. And that's sort of how we did it. And then we got feedback from them on that, which then allowed us to sort of get verification as to if we were doing something right or if something needed changing. Then our first official public event was again at Champness Hall, and it was at the start of February. So we had those booked in quite quickly, which meant that we were able to, you know, release it and book people in over social media. When we initially started doing it, we thought, events are going to fill up really, really quickly. It's going to be really, really popular. But what actually happened is it was a slow burner. So us putting it was like, people were like, what? It's a what? And there was a lot of misunderstanding as to what we did and who we were. But the bigger thing was, we sort of, for the first 2 years, we had a lot to prove, because people thought, oh, you're putting children in danger. People thought silly things, like we had comments like we were opening the children to demonic possession and just really, really silly stuff. And we had a lot of things to prove during those first 2 years. So it was a lot of hard graft, a lot of making sure that we were consistent with showing, you know, because you hear all these horror stories. I mean, at the moment, there's like this massive growth in paranormal groups. They're everywhere at the moment. It seems like the Wilderness Dog are doing paranormal events at the moment, but you hear these stories of people booking on an event and then showing up at a venue and the event isn't even taking place, you know, or
is that due to scamming, or is it like people scamming? Right.
Some of them are scamming, or like an event gets cancelled and then the guests aren't notified, and you know, all that sort of stuff. So during the first 2 years, it was us just getting our head down and showing consistency, you know, in what we're doing. And we did have to dip into our own pockets at times, our own personal pockets, to make up the difference in the numbers that we were lacking, you know, to cover the cost of a venue. But then slowly but surely the balance sort of started to shift, and people were like, oh, okay, we get you now. And I think one of the biggest recognitions for us during those early years is that I got approached by Haunted magazine to become on their writing team, to write about what Junior Paranormal Events do, you know, some of the locations we go to. And that happened. And then once that happened, this like weird effect started happening where all of a sudden I was invited to go and talk at a paranormal conference, and then we got talking to Haunted Happenings, and we've ended up working with them, and it's just, you know, starting to do loads of different things
from there.
But during those first 2 years, it was really, really tough. Now, and every sort of every time an event sells out, I kind of pinch myself and go, oh wow. So this year
we've done it again.
This year we can't keep up with demand. It's events are selling out left, right and center. So we're trying to keep up with demand now. So the times when I'm really tired and we've, you know, we're driving 3 hours back from Gloucester and it's been a really long day, and we're like, and I think, no, do you know what? Let's think back to those first 2 years when it was a struggle and we had to just graft and graft and graft. We're actually in a really privileged position now. So
you've earned it, haven't you? You've spent those first 2 years just working really hard, and that's good. I suppose a lot of, because it's such an enjoyable thing to do, and do you get many returning people, you know, because
Yeah,
they've been and it's like, yes, it's the kind of
yeah,
thing that you would go back to, I suppose, if you enjoyed it, you know.
yeah, yeah. We do. We have yeah, and it's like they change. So as obviously they grow up, we did have loads of regular customers, and but then the juniors grew up because they were about 15 when they started coming to us. So they've grown up
Yeah,
and they've moved on to adult events now, and then you get new ones coming through. So we do get a good bank of regulars. Yeah, we get some that travel with us wherever, not literally with us, but for
yeah,
example,
yeah.
we've got a lovely family who they're from Leeds, and they're coming down to Kelvedon and Hatch in Essex and doing that event. But then
Right.
they're also coming up to Jedburgh in Scotland and doing that event. So they sort of travel around, and it's lovely. It's really
That's
lovely.
really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's we kind of, Michael and I kind of joke like, oh my goodness, people are actually paying to come and spend time with us. It's really weird.
Yeah, it wouldn't
We
have
don't
spelled.
know
It's
things about
crazy.
that. And I think
That's
one of the
really cool.
weirdest things is because I'm a writer and I write for Haunted Magazine and Spooky Isles, and I've got a couple of my own books out. I get asked for autographs now, which is, oh, can you sign my book? And I'm a bit like, me? Oh, okay then.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really surreal, really surreal. Yeah.
Yeah. So out of all the events you've ever done, what would you say is the actual scariest, unexplainable scariest? Not like scariest, like, something made a noise and it turned out to be X, but something
Yeah.
that you don't actually know what it was.
So I
Have you
wouldn't,
had anything?
yeah. There's been a couple, but I think the one that stands out the most is it was the time when Michael, my husband, got really unnerved. He doesn't get unnerved ever. He will go into the creepiest of places and do a sweep for equipment at the end of the night to make sure we've got everything. Last summer we were down in Kelvedon Hatch, and Kelvedon Hatch is I don't know if you've ever been. It's in the middle of
No.
nowhere because it was a secret nuclear bunker. So it's in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
It looks like a bungalow. So you sort of have this bungalow and you go down the steps underneath it, and it's a massive bunker and there's massive concrete floors, and it's huge. And Michael was on the middle floor and I was on the bottom floor. Now bear in mind we've got slabs of concrete between us, and I could hear from the bottom floor almighty thudding. I mean, thudding like I've never heard before. It was vibrating, the walls, the ceiling, and everything. And I thought it was Michael's guests messing around, jumping or doing something. And he said, no, it's not me. So he went up to the top floor, and it got louder, and it sounded like somebody like pounding something outside to get in. So we thought that we'd had a security breach. So Michael went out to investigate, and there's nobody there. And then later on that night, the guests had gone home. And the way it works is Mike, the owner, just basically says to you, here's the information on how to lock up. If you need me, just ring me. So we were like, well, do you know what? The guests are, we've got like an hour and a half before we need to go out. Why don't we do some investigation, just us? So there was Michael, our daughter Aubrey, and myself, and we're in one of the rooms on the middle floor, and it was really, really unnerving. I mean, really uncomfortable and unnerving, because we could hear talking coming from a stairwell, and there shouldn't have been talking there. And it's the first time I've ever known my husband go, no, come on, we're going. Yeah. So Kelvedon Hatch is up there for me. Yeah. And we're back there in the summer.
Oh gosh, you must love it.
It is a good location, but it's very atmospheric for sure.
Yeah, it certainly sounds it. And whereabouts is that?
It's in Essex.
In Essex. A little bit too far for me, I think.
A little bit too far, yeah.
It's just for me, yeah. But it sounds like a great venue, though.
Yeah, it is. It's a really good venue. It's Yeah, it's very, very strange. There's just like this atmosphere when you go and you can feel it. It's very, very surreal.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds great. That's the kind of place that, well, you want to go, I suppose, if you
Yeah,
know,
well,
there's no point
absolutely.
going to somewhere that has no, no experiences or no atmosphere or no,
No.
no character.
No, well, no, because I mean, that's what I tell ourselves, but something happens and you go, well, this is what we're here for.
Yeah,
Don't run. This
exactly.
is what we're
Yeah.
here
Don't
for.
run away. Don't be scared.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what when I first started, I used to get scared a lot. I mean, I do, and I do still, but it just clicked like probably a year ago or so that's why you're there.
Yeah.
So, although you might be scared, going into that dark room on your own is just like, if something happens, great. That's what you want. Although it is very scary. We went to the Winter Gardens. So I don't know if you've ever been in the Winter Gardens, but
Is that in Blackpool?
yeah, in Blackpool. Sorry, Winter Gardens
Yeah,
in
I
Blackpool.
used to go. I've not been in as an adult to do a paranormal investigation, but I used to go. They used to have like a soft play centre in there back in
Yeah,
like the 80s and 90s. I think
you
it's
did.
called Mr.
Yeah,
Peabody's or something like
Peabody's.
that.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah. I used to go in
that's
there.
in the Olympia. Yeah,
Yeah, I used to go in there to play, but I've never
really
done a
good.
paranormal investigation in there. No.
I don't think they actually do them anymore, but the chap that did them locally to us, he's moved away now, so I don't have that I'm aware of. They don't do them anymore. But we went there, and upstairs in one of the rooms, it's called the Spanish Ballroom, maybe, or the Spanish Hall or something, and it's this huge kind of ballroom, and around the edges there's these small houses with lights in them, so it's really strange but really beautiful room. And he told us about all this crazy stuff that had happened in there, and even like the manager of the Winter Gardens got freaked out and he got chased across this room,
Oh my god.
footsteps and stuff, and he wasn't the kind of guy that would admit to anything, so it seemed quite legit. So and everybody, we were kind of mulling around on our own. And my two friends were like, oh, we'll catch up with you. We're just going to go and get a drink. I was like, oh, yeah. So I went up there on my own, and I was like, do I go in that room? Because we were in like the room before it. We were all sat in there. That's where all our bags were and everything. I was like, should I go in there on my own? Yeah, why not? And I just kind of just did it, and it was fine. Nothing happened, but it was terrifying. But it was also fun. Because there was nobody on the entire floor where I was. I'd gone up the stairs and into the waiting room and then into this Spanish ballroom, whatever it's called. It was scary, but it was fun, and that's what it's all about. There's no point going if you're not going to enjoy it,
No, not at all. Not at all.
Very scary. But luckily nothing happened. Plus, I don't think I'd have handled it. But no, it was good. It was good. So you mentioned before about equipment.
Yeah.
What equipment do you use, and what don't you use? What don't you think is actually useful? Plus, I know there's so many different types of equipment.
It's going to be controversial because some people rely on them, but I am not. I'm not a believer in spirit boxes.
No.
I'm not a believer in spirit boxes, radio scanning devices, nor am I a believer in the phone apps.
The phone apps are just they're terrible.
With spirit boxes, it's the power of suggestion for me.
Yeah.
Like for example, there was a couple of years, I think it was back. Well, anyway, a couple of years ago, Michael and I were invited to go and speak at a paranormal conference, and it was down south, and it was staying in the woods, and we got invited to go to the adult paranormal event that they were holding at night. So we sat there in this room, and this lady pulls out an Obulus box, which is one of the spirit boxes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know the ones that are like £400 or something silly. So she pulled it out and she put it out, and Michael and I sat there looking at each other because that's all that they were doing was just a spirit box. Like that's it. That. So they just sat there, and then the spirit box said cake, and the lady went, "Oh, I've got cake in my bag. Maybe it wants the cake." So then she gets up and she walks over, and it turns out another random word, and it's just like she goes, "Oh yeah," and then it's just like, no.
I think they're definitely questionable.
Yeah, and again, it's going to
It's
sound
obviously picking up a radio station of some
exactly.
a lot of people say take the aerials off so there's no aerial, because then it won't be able to pick up any local stations, because obviously if it's got no aerial. But
Yeah.
I never followed up whether that would actually still
So
work or not.
So we've got a really good friend called Andy Guy who owns Scry Tech, who makes equipment, and we were
Right.
asking him about spirit boxes, and he said, think about it from a spirit point of view. They would have to learn how to manipulate that device to produce that word,
Right.
to
Yeah.
understand what that word was, to know how that word fit in that situation. So he said they're programmed with a whole load of word banks, and it's just throwing out random words and people associating. The ones specifically that have got the radio waves attached to them, I've been when we used to go on adult events, we've been there, and like the football scores come through, you know. It's like
yeah, or somebody singing Spice Girls or something.
yeah. So I'm
random...
not a fan, and I know some people like them. We don't use them at all on our events because we're not that keen on them, and secondly, they can come out with some really offensive content sometimes.
Right.
You know, words that are quite threatening and might be triggering to young people, especially those that have got additional support needs or challenges around their mental health. So we don't use them. We never, ever, ever in a million years would use any of those ghost apps because they're just completely pointless, in my opinion. What we do use is basic cause and effect equipment. So we use things like KT meters, maglite torches, sort of a thermometer, you know, temperature stuff, trigger based objects, things that are really easy for the juniors to use but are also really easy to debunk. So for example, if a K2 goes off, it's like, well, okay, in this room is the internet is there a Wi-Fi,
is there a power cable,
is there a power cable, you know, has somebody got a mobile phone on? We found that at one point they can even be triggered by like you know, like the fragrance things that they have in rooms that automatically pump out. Because the battery operated.
Right.
So things like that allow them to go, oh, okay, and get that understanding of challenging what they see. But just recently, within the past sort of 6 months, nearly a year, I've really got interested in the old techniques that we used to use. So what the Victorians used to do. So we'll have a look at scrying, using a scrying mirror, dowsing rods. And there's also a lot to be said about encouraging them to just use their senses, because that is one of the most powerful things we have. And one of the reasons why we don't like using too much technology is because I think you get too invested in what the technology is telling you, when actually your senses are more powerful than anything, you know, any equipment. I do have a massive issue with the Estes method, in that so that's sensory
with
deprivation.
I
have heard a horror story. Well, actually, a couple of horror stories have been reported to me about adult groups who decided to have a dabble in putting on a junior event and allowed children to do the Estes method.
Oh, right.
And that, to me, number one, as a teacher, it's a huge safeguarding issue because you're blindfolding a child. And, you know, the depriving the senses is not appropriate under any stretch of the imagination, really. If parents want to do that in their own house, then fine, but on a public event, it's not acceptable. And then also, so you've got the senses, you know, being deprived of the senses, and then you're filtering in all this white noise and all these really loud noises, and it can be really, really triggering. So we don't use that either. Yeah.
No,
We
probably
like to
best.
try and keep it as simple as possible so they can get an understanding of the kit. But more importantly than anything, how to debunk and try and explain
Yes.
things. So that
Yeah.
if something does happen, they can go, oh, there's no explanation. We've tried that, we tried that. There's no explanation. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
with, we know there was a mobile phone or there's a power cable or
Yeah.
something along those lines. Right. Have you tried REM pods? What do you think of
Yes, we
REM
do
pods?
use REM pods, but they work along the same rationale as K2 meters in that they can be easily triggered. So if we're out on location and it's a big location and we've got walkie-talkies, that'll trigger a REM pod off.
Right.
So we do use REM pods. We have got some touch activated bear. We've got a touch activated bear called Spirit and
yes.
a touch activated elephant called Salem that we use. And yeah, so it's just the basic cause and effect kit. Like we've got a motion sensor box and it operates on the same principle as the motions on your car when you're reversing.
Oh yeah.
That kind of principle, and we use
Right.
that a lot. We've got a music box that we use, just really, really simple stuff. I think the most technological stuff that we've got is at 30 East Drive and a couple of other locations we've done it. We've started to do something called Alone in the Dark, where we'll have a junior and their grown up who will go in a room with some very basic kit and use their senses. And in that room, we'll have a night vision camera and
Oh
a
yes.
walkie-talkie
Yeah.
to communicate with them, and a projector so that it can be projected up and the others that are with us, in our
Right.
team,
Can actually see it as it's.
can also see it as well. So we've done that at Newsham Park Hospital. We do it at East Drive every time we go there. And we've done it at Champness Hall as well. And it's good because it helps them see things like what dust looks like and how people can mistake it for an orb, and it's not an orb, it's dust or an
It's just
insect.
us.
Yeah. So that's the most technological piece of kit that we've got, really.
Right. I mean, that sounds quite fancy. I don't think I've seen anything like that. I've got a couple of night vision cameras, but they're like the old school camcorders.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're like newer versions of the old school camcorders. So, they've got an SD card and the quality's not great. The night vision goes probably a couple of meters. Anything beyond that, and you don't see.
No.
you don't see. You don't see much.
No.
No, it's a shame, but I've actually got another night vision camera, and that plugs in on USB. So you could probably run. It's a Wi-Fi one, so you could probably run that with a power bank and connect it to a hotspot. But it all sounds far too complicated for me to start doing.
Yeah, it does.
Definitely. I did make for Halloween. I think it was last year. I made. I've got a few Arduinos. I don't know if you've seen them. The little circuit boards, and you can program them.
Oh right.
You have a wires. They're like kits. You can get kits for kids, and it teaches you how to like power a motor or something. So you program them on your laptop, and you send the code to the device. And I made a little MP3 player, so it would play like a screaming sound, and I put it inside a pumpkin, and I attached a PIR motion sensor to it. And as somebody walked past, the pumpkin would scream. Yeah, it worked, and it actually works because everything I normally try doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I was quite impressed it actually worked, just following some simple instructions. So you could actually build your own motion sensor devices that beep or that light up or that play sounds, or and then they're really easy to use. So there's your next challenge.
Oh no, not for me. No, not for me. Maybe my son. My son does computing and all that. So maybe my son at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're really cheap and they're really easy to use. There's loads of resources online for it, so it's good for it. It helps teach the kids electronics without blowing themselves up.
Well,
because everything's just there, and you can just. So, out of all the places you've ever been, what is your favorite place to visit? Do you have like a favorite that if you could go anywhere, if you go back to anywhere in the UK without having to worry about the travel and the cost and everything?
We did it. I really liked Tatton Old Hall, which we did last year, with Haunted Happenings. Now, Haunted Happenings are the only group that are allowed in. They've got like
Right.
they won like a bid with Tatton Park to be able to go in. It's in the. I don't know if you've ever been to Tatton Park, but it's
No.
a huge, huge park, and this house is right smack bang in the middle of it.
Gosh.
So when it goes dark,
There's
you're
nothing
there,
around.
you're on your own, you're isolated, and it really, really feels it. I really, really liked that building. I love it. We had so much incredible activity that night, which is completely unexplainable. For me, I teach a drama group one night a week, so I'm very into drama. I love the Victorians, you know, all that sort of thing. So I'd planned. They had a Victorian parlour set up at Tatton Hall. So I'd planned to take an extract from Charles Dickens to go and stand in this Victorian parlour and read this extract, you know, using it as a trigger object, really, with Charles Dickens being a Victorian author. And when I got there, the member of staff who was on duty from Tatton Park, I told him what I was going to do, and he went, "Oh, I've got something that'll make that even better." And I was like, "Oh, what?" He went and got me a candelabra, lit all the candles, and said to me,
Wow.
"When you go in there, make sure you take that and stand in front of the fire and read it." So I was there in front of this fire with this extract of Charles Dickens in a Victorian parlour reading. But what was even more interesting is when I was doing that, Michael's group was upstairs in the bedroom above us, and they were having some interaction about somebody objecting to Charles Dickens being read. And they all heard, and we heard it, really loud footsteps coming down the stairs. They're all stood still. We're in the parlour with the door shut. Really loud footsteps coming down the stairs. And then we had 3 really loud knocks on the door. This is while I'm reading Charles Dickens with my candelabra. We opened the door and there was nobody there. So it was like someone was coming to tell me to stop it. It was fascinating.
Really didn't like Charles Dickens.
No, no. I'll have to try Edgar Allan Poe next time, maybe. I don't know.
They might prefer that.
Yeah,
I think I'd go back to Charles Dickens though, just for the evidence. You know,
I know.
That's great.
Yeah, but I loved Tatton Old Hall. In terms of, so we have been really lucky to be able to do some investigation out in America.
Wow.
So last year we got to spend some one-on-one time with Robert the Doll, which was completely fascinating.
Cool.
Yeah, that happened completely by accident. I wasn't a believer in Robert the Doll. Sorry, Robert.
Yeah, don't be saying that.
I know. I've got a little one there. I don't know if you can see him.
Oh, yes.
There he is.
Oh, gosh.
But there was an incident that happened, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So basically, I've written about it for Haunted Magazine, but I'll say anyway. So we'd gone to the museum where Robert is, and we'd paid to go in. We'd gone looking round, and at the end of our time, we'd started talking to the guy that was on duty. We told him what we do, and we'd actually brought paranormal equipment out with us because we'd hired a location to go to do this paranormal investigating. So he said to us, "Come back tomorrow. It's going to be really quiet. I won't charge you for coming in, and you go and spend some time with Robert on your own."
Gosh,
and we're like,
wow.
Really? So anyway, next morning we rock up and he goes, "In you go." So we went in. He said, "I'm going to stay at the desk here." And we're like, "Fine." He said, "I can see you on the cameras," because obviously being the nature of Robert and him being priceless, there's cameras on him everywhere.
Yeah.
So we went through and we sat there, we're doing some investigating with him. And we'd been sat there for probably about half an hour when the manager came running in at us. And we were like, "What?" And he was like, the camera. And we were like, "What?" He's like, "The camera's gone off." Anyway, when he looked, the camera had been physically unplugged.
Really?
Yes.
Gosh. It's a good job he came up then, but you just don't know. When cameras get unplugged, something bad usually happens.
The look on his face, though, I think, like, I've just let these really random people in.
Yeah, he was probably thinking,
yeah. But that was fascinating. That was really fascinating. So I think I would go back and see Robert again. Definitely. Yeah, fascinating. Yeah.
And whereabouts in the States is that?
So that's in Florida. So Robert's down in the Florida Keys. He's at the Martello Museum. And yeah, it's really weird because there's loads of old like maritime war-based stuff, and then there's Robert in the middle of this room.
Just Robert.
Yeah, in a glass case. But very fascinating. Very, very fascinating.
It sounds it.
Yeah.
And you've also been to 30s Drive a few times by the sounds of it.
Yes.
How do you find that? Is it as good as everybody makes it out to be, or have you just drawn blanks every time you've gone?
So we actually go there once a month on a Sunday. Right. And we did a 12-hour sleepover there for juniors last year.
Gosh.
And we're doing another 12-hour sleepover for juniors in August this year. So I must have been about 18 times by this point. When you say to people, we're going to 30 East Drive, the reactions that you get are, you shouldn't take children in there, it's demonic. It's all fakes. It's Carol next door who's banging on the walls. I've met Carol. Carol's too tired and she's got too much going on to be faking it. And I must admit, when I first went in there, I was a bit like, I'd seen the over-the-top stuff that other people had filmed, like Most Haunted, for example, when knives were everywhere, and it was like, so I was a bit like, I'm not convinced. But there has been quite a lot of stuff that we've experienced there. Personally, I've seen a shadow figure a couple of times. Aubrey, my daughter, when we did the 12-hour sleepover, she stayed awake with me. So all the guests were either in the living room asleep or upstairs in the bedrooms, and Aubrey and I stayed awake. It sounded like someone was running up and down the stairs at one point. The guests are all in bed. We heard a man screaming. This is at like 3:30 in the morning. There's nobody there. All the guests are asleep. And then Aubrey, it got to about 3:15, and she said, Mum, the witching hour. You know, people say the witching hour. Well, nothing's happened, has it? The second that happened, there was 3 loud bangs on the kitchen cupboards.
Was there? Gosh.
Yeah, there was. But yeah, we've had lots and lots of stuff. I don't think we've never encountered anything that's evil, that's demonic. I think there's a lot of misunderstandings about that location. I think it also very much depends on the attitude that you're going in with. I think if you're being disrespectful and you're antagonizing, that's the energy that you're going to, you're going to draw back to you. But we're very, very respectful. We're very polite. Yeah. But it's also reminding people that it's not necessarily a monk that is there. No. There's loads of history attached to the land, And I think it's one of those, probably like Annabelle the doll, really, where it's got overhyped and over sensationalized, and people think. Yeah. But there is definitely something there, and it certainly is a place to go and explore. Definitely, it's worthwhile. I know for sure it's not Carol. Definitely,
it's not Carol. No.
She's too tired for that. She's too tired. Yeah. Got too much on.
It sounds like a great venue.
It is. It's really, the first time we went in, it was really, really surreal. It was like, because it just looks like a home. It looks like a 1970s home. The carpet, the kitchen, the bathroom, the sofas, everything. And you just sort of think, it's in the middle of an estate. There's neighbours. How can this possibly? It's just a really surreal location. It's just bizarre. Yeah.
So who owns that? Does the current owner just let it out for paranormal
Yeah. So the guy
investigations?
who owns it is Bill Bungie, who is the guy who made the film When the Lights Went Out. He made that film. He actually owns it. And when they did the premiere for that film, they actually did it in the house. So he just lets it out all the time. I mean, he must make quite a bit of money, to be honest.
That's a good Airbnb model, that, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is. And Carol is the key holder next door, and she comes in and like empties the bins and gives it a clean. So she pretty much looks after it, but Bill owns it.
Right. That's great. That's a good business model, a new business idea, Airbnb for paranormal activities.
Absolutely, why not?
I'll look into that.
Let me know.
Yeah. So we mentioned before about YouTubers and influencers who just make, and Most Haunted, who just make things up. What's your opinion? Sorry, Most Haunted.
It's all right.
What do you think about that? What's your opinion on that?
Oh my God!
I know it touches a nerve.
It really does with me. So one of the issues that we have, and I'm going to name people because I haven't got anything to hide and nothing to say sorry for. But we have a lot of young people who will come in and they've watched content by people like Sam and Colby. They've watched all sorts of, misinformed content, and they come in with this idea that everything's a demon, that they need to be confrontational, that they're going to walk into a location and something's going to happen straight away. Last year, when I was doing my paranormal key speaking events, I did a presentation on the myths of the paranormal, and I did a whole section on the damage that influencers are doing, and I said, like, when they do the thumbnails and the like, and they have the red circle circling something and there's nothing there, and I actually ended up offending a couple of paranormal teams apparently, because that's what they do. But my response was, well, if that's what you do, then you're part of the problem, really. So I do have a massive issue with that. I also really offended a lady in the audience because I started talking about Zach Baggins, and she walked out.
Oh, right.
Yeah, she's a diehard Zach Baggins fan and was adamant that everything that he does is legit.
Right.
But I do have issues with it being misleading, it's all about clickbait. I do have issues with them using the terms like professional paranormal investigator. Well, there's no such things of that, because nobody knows all the answers, and professional by its very definition means that you are really knowledgeable and everything that there is. You can't apply that to the paranormal. So our job is to try and undo the damage that's out there on social media, to be honest, and with all these influencers, because it's getting ridiculous, I think.
It is.
Yeah, big time.
And for the thumbnail of this video, I'm gonna have you going like that, and a little red circle just behind you.
You around the Sanderson sisters in the background there. Look.
And I'll just put some random text. Yeah, exactly.
Thanks already.
Yeah, I'll screenshot that. And some really exciting clickbait text, just so people come and watch.
Yeah.
So in terms of influencers, are there any that you do like, or not necessarily influencers, but people that do videos and who you think are?
There's one guy that we like, just one. He's called Shippy. He's called Steve Shippy. He did do some stuff on Discovery Plus a little while ago, but he wasn't happy with that because they were trying to make him fake content. He is a rapper, so his rapper name is Prozac. And he did it. He still does his rapping and everything like that. But he set up he became a filmmaker. and he lives out in Saginaw, which I think is in Michigan.
Right.
And he decided he wanted to investigate his hometown. So what he actually does is he will go and put cameras out in a location, but he'll leave them there for anywhere up to a year. And go in and do paranormal investigating alongside it, and then analyze the findings. We do like him. I mean, very recently he started using spirit boxes quite a bit, which I'm a bit about. But his early stuff is really, really good. Really, really good. So we do like him. But to be honest, because we do paranormal events, I write paranormal, I've got paranormal radio shows, I do loads of different. By the time it comes to our time off, I tend not to watch anything paranormal.
You don't want to be sat there watching anything. No.
Yeah. We tend to watch a lot of horror stuff instead when we've got time off.
Yeah. Which is adjacent to paranormal, but yeah.
Of course it is. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
And have you seen Watcher with Sam and Shane and what's his other name? No, they used to do BuzzFeed. They're American.
Oh,
they used to do BuzzFeed, and they brought out Ghost Files. No, have you not seen that one?
No.
Really interesting because Shane is like it's all a load of rubbish kind of thing, and the other guy's name is completely gone. But he's scared of everything, and they go around to all these really big locations and film it, and they've got the equipment, they do all the different methods, but they also just like do random investigations. And the guy who gets really scared, and I'll remember his name as soon as we finish this, he goes off on his own into a specific area, and it looks, I mean, obviously it's all edited, but it looks genuine. It's not every episode that they actually do find anything, so it's not like the it's not for effect. They're certainly not finding stuff every time they go somewhere. They might get the odd random thing, but it's not like, oh, this just genuinely seem quite good. So if you ever do need a new influencer to watch, they're called Watcher. They do a show called Ghost Files, where they do go on to different locations and in the States somewhere, but worth looking at. Worth looking at.
Okay, noted. Thank you for that.
Let me know.
I will.
And you're also a radio host, so you've got a show on Roach Valley Radio. Is that pronounced
that's right? It's Roach Valley Radio. So last year at Halloween, I got asked to go on to one of the shows to tell some ghost stories, and I did. And then I got invited to go back again a few weeks later to tell some more stuff about what I do paranormally. And then just like off the cuff, I was just like, oh, if you ever want anyone to come and do some paranormal content, anything relating to the alternative community, the strange and unusual, let me know. The next thing is I've got 2 shows.
Two shows.
So I have a Wednesday evening, which is called the Graveyard Shift, which is from 10 p.m. till 12 a.m. And that's sort of more like a chat, like a talk show. And I usually have guests in. So the other week I had an undertaker who came in and was telling me all about what it was like to work as an undertaker. I've had a guy called Valentine Morningstar, who you might know, who is known as the Manchester Vampire. He's been in. I get loads of different guests in, and it's a bit more in depth. And at the end of it, I always do a midnight ghost story, which is an original one by me. Then my Friday show is called Spooky Talk, which is 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. on a Friday. That's more like music based, but we also do things like looking at folklore. I'm doing a section at the moment which is Old Wives' Tale of the Week, and we talk about our different paranormal shenanigans and our weekend weirdness. I really like it. I've met so many fascinating people through doing it. And plus, I like to chat anyway and listen to music, so it's really great. I love it.
It's not really work, is it, when you're sat there doing something?
No, no. And the studio is about 10 minutes from my house as well, which is a bonus.
Even better.
Yeah.
Really handy.
Yeah.
Really handy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can listen online to that as well, because there's a website
There is
where you
a
can
website,
listen online.
which is roachvalleyradio.com. So you can go and do listen back, and it'll bring up the most recent shows. But we've also got all of our shows are downloaded onto, I believe it's Mixcloud, where
Right.
you can access the back catalogue of all the different shows. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Excellent. Very good.
Yeah.
And just before we sign off, if somebody came to you and said, I'm thinking of starting a paranormal activity group, not necessarily, not for children, but just in general, what few pieces of advice would you give them?
Lower your expectations. It's not what you see on the television. There's a lot of times sat round where you stood round, it's dark, it's cold. In the middle of winter, it's raining, it's snowing. It's not as glamorous as people might make it out to be, by far. I think being respectful when you go in. So knowing a little bit about where you're going, the history of what's there, not necessarily the history of the ghost stories, but the history of what's there, so that you can be sensitive as to the activities that you might do. So for example, if you go in somewhere where they've got connections to potential religion, not using Ouija boards, being respectful to that. Don't waste your money on really expensive pieces of kit, because they're often not worth it at all. You can get really, really good kit, which is really affordable. It's not a case of the more you pay for something, the better it is. It's not the case.
The same.
Yeah. And if you are going to do anything that involves guests, make sure that you've got all the insurances and risk assessments and everything in place, because people will ask for that. Yeah.
Definitely cover your backs. Definitely.
Yes. Yeah. Nobody wants a lawsuit.
No, definitely not. Speaking of equipment being expensive, I've got a little rucksack bag that I take with me when I go on the hunts, and I think in total it probably cost £50, and it's got an EMF meter in. Well, I bought two EMF meters, a digital thermometer, dowsing rods, a pendulum, a REM pod, a torch, and all that kind of stuff. But I sourced most of it from AliExpress.
Yeah.
And you're speaking under £10 for an EMF meter. You know, whereas if you go on, the UK sites, especially
Various
ghost
sites.
equipment specific sites,
Yeah.
you're speaking £25 to £30
Yeah.
for exactly the same thing. So it's definitely something that you can do on a budget if you know where to look.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I certainly don't like spending money. So
No,
it's like, why? No. I can wait a week or two for it to be delivered from China. It's no big deal,
No, it's no biggie.
But no, that's great, Gemma. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Hope you have a great few set of investigations coming up.
Thank you very much.
Hope you have lots of fun on those, and we'll speak again soon, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.